What is up, dudes and lady dudes? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today I've got another kind of different video. I usually don't do combo type videos, but I did my TRAPTRIX deck profile last week, so I want to do like kind of a little follow-up there of like the only combos that really matter. Now, this isn't a super combo-centric deck, but there are a couple of key combos that I feel like you should know if you're new to the deck, you're not really used to it. Just those niche things that when you look at your hand, you see that you have those 2-card combos, you're like, oh, I can at least do that, and that's going to get you a very, very powerful setup. And that's what's important here, is that it's not, because it's not a crazy combo deck, you're not ending on insane boards, but you're on very good like setups and like control boards with multiple disruptions, and that's pretty much what we're aiming to get here today. So without further ado, let's just jump into it. There's only 3 main combos I want to show you today. The first one is super basic. You're going to open a TRAPTRIX monster and a copy of the Phantom Knight's Shade Brigandine. Keep in mind though, for the rest of these combos, I'm going to be using Mermelio. If you were to open either Mantis or Dionea, the combo would change ever so slightly. It's really so minuscule. The only difference would be, like, instead of ending on an extra trap hole off Mermelio, if you open Mantis, you would just end with Dionea in hand as a strong follow-up normal summon. And if you open Dionea, it's the worst one because it doesn't get you anything on when you use it as part of the combo, but you still at least get to, get through the combo. So just keep that in mind. Like, Mermelio is the best one, so I'm going to show her. Mantis is still good, and Dionea is the worst one, but still just doing the combo in general is like really good. So without further ado, let's just start off here. You're going to start here by normal summoning your copy of TRAPTRIX for Mermelio. She will get you a search for a free trap hole. In this example, we're just going to use time-space trap hole, because why not? Then we will set a copy of Shade Brigandine here. We will link our Mermelio off. I guess normally it's over here, yeah. For our copy of TRAPTRIX Sarah. Then we will activate our copy of Shade Brigandine, summoning himself to the field. That will trigger Sarah, which will get us a free special summon from deck. We'll probably go for another copy of Mermelio, or if you want to save more copies in the deck, you could go Mantis because we already searched a trap hole. So you could go Mantis, set your trap hole, use Mantis to bounce the trap hole. That'll trigger Sarah because we activated a TRAPTRIX monster's effect so that we can get another trap hole. This time we might as well go for something like a bottomless. This sets it straight to the field, so we'll just set that there. Then these two, if you want to play it safe, now this is where one thing that, like, this is where your line might diverge. You can either want to play it safe and go for something like Rafflesia, or if you want to get a little risky but a little more high impact, you could, because we do have the trap material, could end on a Time Thief Redoer. If you rip a spell off your opponent's deck, you would have a draw, a big beater that dodges things, as well as a really powerful non-targeting removal. So just depends on what you're looking for there, but we would set this guy here, and then so just off of that, you would end Sarah with, of course, setup. Being like, whatever, if you activate any normal traps, you're going to get a free special summon, then probably a set of another trap hole card if you wanted it. We have 2 trap holes here, whichever 2 you wanted. It could be Floodgate, it could be the new one, Gravediggers. If you end Rafflesia, I would recommend, if you're ending on these, I would recommend keeping, making sure you have a Gravediggers in your deck. That way, she has like the most versatile potential to like interrupt your opponent, but she's just more defensive because if your opponent does have Nibiru, Rafflesia is exactly the 5th summon, Rafflesia or Redoer. So if they try and Nibiru the Redoer, you're going to be forced to tag the Redoer out, which means you lose the trap as material on him, so that now you can't interrupt your opponent with him on their turn. That's why Rafflesia is more like just safe, because if they do that, you can just Gravedigger them. The Nibiru is now stuck in their hand. They're going to take 2,000 life points, which makes it easier for you to kill them on their next turn, and you don't just like, or you aren't forced out of like disruptions, and you still have 1 more disruption for their turn to hit them with off of her as well. So nothing too crazy there. I mean, just that's like the standard one that's been the play for a while now. There's nothing too out of thin air there. That's all stuff that we've seen before. The next one, I guess, so this one's like also like kind of weird, but this one's less impactful. You definitely want, if you're going to open this, you'd rather open Shade and a TRAPTRIX monster, but I'll show you this just in case, because Parallel Exceed is a really nice new extender in the deck. This time we're just going to go normal summon Mermelio. Of course, we're going to get our free trap hole. We'll just do time space again. Actually, let's just do bottomless this time, because why not? Let's change it up. Then we will link our Mermelio into our Sarah, which will then allow us to activate Parallel Exceed because we made a link summon. You'll summon him to the zone, and then you'll summon the other Exceed. Oh, I left that somewhere else. Yeah. One sec. No! I forgot I needed 2. Alright, then we'll summon the second Parallel Exceed right next to the first one. They both become level 4 on summon, so keep that in mind. And then you can just, from right there, just make ourselves a Link summon, or an Exceed summon for either Redo or Rafflesia. This time I'm always going Redo or Rafflesia because you don't have a trap, right? Unless you're playing against a deck that plays like Altergeist, that plays 20 traps. Like, I'm not making Redoer in that situation. I'm making Rafflesia just because it's safer. You have a guaranteed disruption here. So again, it's not crazy. This one's definitely nowhere near as crazy, but still, for only taking 2 cards in hand, you end a card that's going to get you insane amount of advantage as the duel goes on. A pretty powerful, versatile disruption in Rafflesia, as well as a trap hole on top of it. So it works. And keep in mind, this only took 2 cards in hand, so you still had 3 other cards in hand. You could be setting 3 more cards. You could have 2 hand traps in hand. You know what I mean? It just depends what the rest is. But for that minimal investment, I will take that kind of setup. It's pretty dang good. And then the last thing I'll show you is, might as well, it's going to be like super similar to the first 2, but it's if you opened all 3. If you open Exceed, if you open Remelio, and if you open Shade Brigandine, this will get you the maximum amount of, you know, potential here. So same thing, we'll start by normal summoning Mermelio. She will get us a search for our bottomless. That'll go to our hand. Then we will set the Shade Brigandine. We will link our Mermelio into Sarah. We will activate our Shade Brigandine, summoning himself here. No, I'm sorry, not activating Shade Brigandine yet. You want to hold off on this. You want to summon Parallel Exceed first. Sorry, I had my lines mixed up. You're going to go Parallel Exceed, then Parallel Exceed is going to get you a summon for another copy of itself. Of course, they'll both become level 4. Then we will overlay these 2 over here for Rafflesia. Now, this is extremely important here because this is our 5th summon, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? This is our 5th summon, so we need to go Rafflesia here now so that we cannot be Nibiru. A lot of people are maining Nibiru just because combo is running around a lot. We don't want to just like lose most of our board to that, right? We want that to be a dead card in hand. Now we can activate our Shade Brigandine because we still have no traps in grave. We'll special summon him, triggering our Sarah to then get us, I guess Mantis works here in defense mode. Doesn't really matter, but whatever. Then we will set our trap hole. We'll use Mantis to bounce this trap hole back to our hand, and we can reset it if we want. Not a big deal, but that's just going to trigger our Sarah to get us another trap hole. So we'll set this guy, and now we'll probably set him over here. Just play around Mekk-Knights as much as you can. And then we will finish by making a Redoer as well. So off of this 3-card combo, you've got an insanely good setup card in terms of just getting a ton of advantage even on your opponent's turn in Sarah. You've got a disruption / Nibiru playthrough, like ignorance card. You just ignore Nibiru entirely in this deck because of this. You have an insanely good card in Redoer, especially if you rip a spell off their deck for turn. You've got this beater that tags out, disrupts with non-targeting removal, as well as gets you a free draw. And you have 2 trap holes. This only took 3 cards in your hand, so you'd have 2 other cards in hand. Those could be 2 more traps you set. That could be 2 hand traps in hand, so that you don't even have to commit more stuff to the field. Depends on what you're playing, depends on what you draw. But this is a pretty nasty setup right here. I mean, like, this is like pretty daunting. For sure, especially if you had cards in hand. And keep in mind, if you open Mantis instead of Mermelio, you still end on the same exact board. You just don't end with one of these trap holes, and instead you have Diana as a follow-up. So instead of having as much stuff committed to the board and you'll have just 1 less disruption, but still like a really good follow-up in Diana, because you're already getting free specials off Sarah during your opponent's turn and potentially during your next turn, and then also getting like even more extension out of Diana later. So really, really strong. I really think this deck has been underrated completely, and I think like you've already seen it from people like Bortle, particularly more than anybody, honestly. He's done a great job at showing people that this deck really can play, and it's just like representation. There's always decks like that really could do better than like people think. They just don't think it because they just don't see it. But if more people played it, they definitely see it more often and really get a better scope of like, you know, what the deck can really do. So that's pretty much it, guys. Those are really the 3 main combos that like matter the most, at least for like pure TRAPTRIX decks with just like these really good extenders. But that's going to do it for me here. Hopefully this helped you if you were new and trying to get into TRAPTRIX a little bit, or if you didn't really know like what they bring to the table. These simple combos, play around Nibiru, a lot of hand, like impermanence is like not very good. Like the best spot to impermanence you there is literally like them hitting like the Myrmelio, so you just don't get one of those trap holes, but you're still on everything else, and your opponent's already one card out of the hand. Like that's why another reason this deck is so good. It just doesn't care about impermanence like barely at all. So really solid deck. I think you guys should check it out if you haven't yet. And I think that's gonna do it for me here. Thank you so much for watching, guys. As always, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more stuff like this from me in the future. Totally down to do more combo type stuff in the future, but you know, we'll get there when we get there. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.